Okay. It took me a while to get here. I was trying to adjust everything so I don't proclaim to be perfect. Um, so let's get into this video right here. I really was like wiling out. I was like, wow, no way, but yes way on this right here. So I always get these little tidbits when they're trying to like get me to, if I read articles, they try to get me to to be someone that'll subscribe or get like multiple subscriptions of particular papers and whatnot. But this article really stood out for me. CBS employees credit union shuts down as manager is charged with embezzling 40 million. So this comes out of sort of what would be business as well. And so this is by an Eric Peterson, March 29th, 2019. And this is a biggie right here. So, longtime manager, the CBS Employees Federal Credit Union, has been arrested and is charged with embezzling more than $40 million from his employer over the past 20 years. Edward Rostohar, okay, faces felony counts of bank fraud and aggravated identity theft. So Michael Avanti, that's something totally unrelated, but I guess it has something, a similar article on a similar incident with federal fraud. It has to do with Michael Avanti released on bond after arrest of federal fraud and Nike extortion charges. Okay, so in conjunction with the arrest, the National Credit Union Administration, federal agency that regulates credit unions, announced Friday that it has liquidated the CBS Employees Federal Credit Union and shut down its operations. So University Credit Union immediately assumed CBS employees' assets. So Rostohar, 62 years of age, of Studio City, was arrested 2 weeks ago and remains in custody because he is considered a flight risk and an economic threat to the community, according to Nick Hannan, U.S. Attorney for the Central District of California, who announced the charges today. If convicted on both counts, Rostohar faces a maximum of 32 years in federal prison and a $1 million fine. An arraignment is set for April 18th, according to an affidavit filed with the criminal complaint beginning before 2000 and continuing until this month. Rostohar used his position as a manager. Now, this is not even like just some regular random employee. This is a manager. So he had a little bit of, title up there at the federally insured credit union to make online payments to himself. He forged the signature of another employee on checks to himself. And so people can use your name to do illegal acts. And it can come back to you and you're trying to figure out, I didn't do this. So let that sort of sink in as we go on with this article. So it goes on to say that the feds allege that Rostohar spent the money on gambling, expensive cars and watches, and travel by private jet. So the case is being investigated by the FBI and the Los Angeles Police Department. Here are the details that are laid out on this indictment per Hanna. So the alleged scheme, and notice they use that word because they're investigating it to find out if all of the facts stack up. So it was exposed beginning on March 6th when a credit union employee found a $35,000 check made payable to Rostohar. And the check did not include the reason for the high dollar amount according to the court documents. The employee conducted an audit, which they had to check, find out, how much is spent and if they had a loss of money. Where did it go? Of the credit union checks issued since January 2018, and discovered that 3,775,000, well, actually it's more than hundreds, it's millions, $3,775,000 in checks were made payable to Rostohar, which contained the forged signature of another employee without the employee's knowledge or consent. So on March the 12th, the credit union informed Rostohar that he had been suspended from his job after an internal investigation uncovered so irregularities in the performance of your job duties, according to the court documents. Later that day, Rostohar's wife called 911 and told the dispatcher that her husband had stolen money from work and was leaving the country, court papers stated. So Rostohar was taken into custody and admitted that he had stolen money from the credit union for about a period of 20 years, beginning by paying the monthly balances on his personal credit cards with funds from the credit union's online accounts by forging checks. So there was check forgery. And he himself, Rostohar, admitted to doing these things. And later, by forging his co-worker's signature on credit union checks and depositing them into personal accounts, court papers state. Rostohar allegedly estimated that he stole $40 million from the credit union, a total of. So an NCUA examination up to February of 28, the 28th revealed a potential loss to the credit union of $40,541, 541 and $130. $541,130. Okay, so it goes on to say it was in 40 million or over 40 million rather. So prior to his 30 years of employment at CBS Employees Credit Union, Rostohar was an examiner at the NCUA. Court documents state Rostohar allegedly told law enforcement that his background gave him knowledge of what NCUA examiners look for when examining credit unions and allowed him to avoid detection. So that's why he went on for so many years and nobody knew what he was doing. So he was pretty clever at it. So Rastahar allegedly said that he gambled away much of the money and spent the rest on traveling by private jet, buying expensive watches, and giving his wife a weekly allowance of about $5,000. So this was every week. So he also said that he purchased two cars, a Porsche and a Tesla, with the money he stole from the credit union, court papers state. So Rostohar allegedly also admitted to starting a business in Reno, Nevada in December of 2018. He wrote tens of thousands of dollars worth of checks to himself to cover the business costs, as well as to pay for $5,000 monthly mortgage on his home that he had purchased recently in Reno. So Hannah said that charges against Rostohar were made in conjunction with Friday's announcement by the National Credit Union Administration, which is the NCUA. So that is what it has liquidated CBS employees, Federal Credit Union, and discontinued its operations after determining CBS employees was involvement was an involvement with no prospect of restoring viable operations on its own. So, University Credit Union, located in Westwood, immediately assumed CBS employee assets, loans, and all member shares. So, here's a statement that was posted today on the credit union's website. Important credit union update, March 29, 2019, University Credit Union, with approval of the National Credit Union Association, which is abbreviated NCUA, agreed to purchase and assume the assets and liabilities of CBS Federal Credit Union. Effective March 29, 2019, CBS EFCU member owner became member owners of UCU. Your credit union accounts will remain unchanged until the full systems conversion on May 1st of 2019, and limited effects are projected at the time as well. Your account number, direct deposit, debit cards, credit cards, and the terms will remain the same until May 1st. You will be notified of any product specific changes closer to the conversion date as necessary, and your accounts remain insured by the National Credit Union Share Insurance Fund. So, University Credit Union U, which is UCU, abbreviated, was selected because of the safety and soundness of the institution, the robust product offerings for members, and the credit union's ability to provide the best possible member experience through this transaction. And so, boy, I was like thrown back when they said that he had bought a Porsche, he bought a Tesla, he bought expensive watches, he bought a house recently purchased in Reno, he had a private jet. There were all these things allegedly that resulted from $40 million, $541,130 in credit union potential loss. February 28th, that was revealed. So this is really something, y'all. I mean, I was like taken back by it. I don't know if anybody else has seen it. CBS Employees Federal Credit Union, that's in Westwood. So this is here in California. So, there's so many scams, so much stuff people do, you wouldn't believe. And it's funny because the whole incident is not funny. But what I think is strange is that usually they target people that they assume are criminals, but very little is really known about who are your criminals. Sometimes your criminals are sitting right before you. They're sometimes the managers. They're sometimes the people like he had described specifically, the alleged person in question, how they had knowledge, how they were able to get away with it for so long, that they had knowledge of how to go about not being caught. And so, you know, you have to, if you go 20 years forging checks, using somebody else's name, and making purchases based on, stealing, you and you do it for 20 years and you not get caught, you must know something. You must work there, or you've learned how to lie, you learn how to steal, and deceive people, many. And a lot of times people never go for those individuals because they look innocent, or they look like they won't steal anything. But usually it's your people who have been there the longest that know how to get around the rules of things. And they know what to say, when to say it, and how to say it, and how to get away with it. That's the way I usually turn it. But anyway, having said this, I'm going to let this article go, but I was really taken back by this. And where's that section there? When I was looking at it, and it mentioned identity theft, felony counts of bank fraud, and aggravated identity theft. Somebody can use your name. They don't have to have your social security or anything like that. They can use your name and make like they're doing something, writing checks in your name to themselves. And you get a knock on the door and you're trying to figure out, I don't know who did it. I didn't do it. That's not even my signature. Man, that's a lot. That's all I got to say. That's a lot. And this is a nice area, by the way. I live here in California. Studio City is a relatively nice area in Westwood. That's over where like UCLA is. And the cost of living there is a lot higher than just in the LA area alone. And so, man, I'm just to just look at all of this. The alleged scheme was exposed on March 6th when the credit union employee found $35,000 checks made payable to Rostomar. And the check did not include the reason for the high dollar amount according to the court documents. The employee conducted an audit. The credit union checks issued January 2018 and discovered 3,000, or actually it was 3,775,000 in checks made payable to Rostomar, which contained a forged signature of another employee without the employee's knowledge or consent. So you could potentially be working somewhere and your boss or your manager, if they're smart enough, they can use your name and forge checks to themselves. If you work at a place such as this institution, having to do a financial institution. And so that's pretty serious. I mean, with that being said, I'm going to let this video go. Like, comment, subscribe. What are your thoughts on these type of things? Yeah, I'm noticing that more and more of these individuals that they find out are people you wouldn't suspect. That's how they get away with it. They're people that you wouldn't view as a thief. They always tend to look at people that look menacing, or people that are on the street, or people that are poor and they don't work, or maybe they don't have opportunities, or they're not the manager or the boss, they're just a little employee or something like that. Or they're, you know, at the bottom of the barrel. But they never look at the managers or the people that are in charge of these individuals over a whole. They have a lot of authority. What what's their credibility? At what length, who's watching the ones who are doing the watching is what I'm saying. If you get what I'm saying. Who's watching the ones who are doing the watching? Because sometimes the ones who are doing the watching, they need to be watched closely. I'm gonna let this video go. Like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for listening.